first ever horror game was Dead by Daylight.
Oh god, I won't touch that. That's still in plastic in my cupboard.
Really? Okay.
I got sent a copy and I was like, no.
I only played it because my cousin was like, hey, like you should play Dead by Daylight with me, it's really fun. And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I'm easily scared. I don't watch horror movies. Like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. And after a while, I really, really got into it. And that's how I got introduced to Michael Myers, was because he is actually one of the killers that you can purchase in the game. And because, like, he was, okay, like, there's a lot of them, like, are quite scary. But he was the one I remember being like, oh my god, if it's him, I'm actually going to be, like, sweating. Because the thing is, like, the killers, right, like, for people who don't play the game, like, the killers, they don't have, they have a heartbeat. So when they get close to you, like, proximity-wise, you know that's when they're getting close. And Michael Myers in the game has, like, 3 stages he can evolve to. Kind of like, almost like, kind of like leveling up. I guess, kind of want to call it that. Not probably the best explanation, but anyway, like, the first kind of stage he's in, he has no heartbeat. So if you weren't looking around properly, he could literally come up right behind you and get you, and you wouldn't hear him. And it's so terrifying to just turn around and not realize that he's literally just standing there, just like in the movie. And so for a little while, like, I was talking about this to like one of my really good friends, and he said, oh, you know, Bianca, like, you better watch the movies. Because he loves Halloween, and I went, okay. I was like, sure, because I knew there was so many of them as well. And he goes, no, just start with the original one, like the 70s one, and let me know what you think. And that was really interesting because obviously it's so much older now. Like, obviously at the time it would have been really scary, but I was having such a big laugh through it because it was kind of corny. And, like, it was very not predictable. It was, like, a little bit predictable, but it was just like, I don't know, I just couldn't help but laugh. And I was like, oh, this is really good. I think I ended up watching the second one and maybe the third and fourth.
I haven't watched them yet. And I just...
You haven't seen the originals?
I've seen the original Halloween.
Oh, the first one.
I just suck at watching sequels. And so I'm just like, oh, I watched the first one. It's fine. But I've actually been committing my time now to watching the sequels to all the horror movies that I love. So I've watched 1, 2, and 3 of Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street is probably one of my favorite slasher franchises, but it recently got taken over by Scream. So I watched the entire Scream series, and I am now obsessed.
I'm gonna sound like a real, like, little nerd because of the game. Like, my first encounter ever with Freddy was in Dead by Daylight, and also Ghostface and Scream as well. So, like, I know of them, and I guess if anything, like, playing the games has made me go, well, like, oh, I kind of want to see where they come from and what the big deal is, because I never grew up watching any horror in my house ever. It just wasn't something that my parents introduced to me. Like, all my movie taste came straight from my mum. So we watched, like, growing up, when I was little, I watched Lord of the Rings, I watched Star Wars,
of course.
Harry Potter.
That was my dad. My dad does not do horror at all. My horror movie taste, I've kind of developed myself.
Right. Yeah, right. Everything, like, now that I've kind of got a little taste of, like, okay, so I've seen Halloween, and, you know, now, you know, we're talking about now, started playing Resident Evil. I just finished, I've been trying to go in order, so I started with 2. And then when I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this properly, I'll go back to the beginning. So I went 1, 2, 3, just finished 4, and starting 5. So now I'm like, okay, like, I can kind of get used to, like, I guess the gore and stuff. Yeah. Obviously, the games are very different to, horror films in some aspects. But now I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel a little adventurous with things now. But when I decided I was going to watch the most recent Halloween, thinking, oh yeah, I've seen the originals, like, how bad could it really be? I think, I forgot, like, how well I don't do with certain gore. Like, if it could physically happen to me in real life, forget it. I don't want to look at it. Like, I just...
I'm the opposite.
So I don't know if you remember me telling you, I said, oh look, I'm going to watch the movie again. But when I say I'm going to watch the movie again, I'm actually going to finish it this time. Because if you remember, like, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the film, like, from the beginning and stuff, but it got up to that, like, petrol station scene.
Yeah.
And because when I watched it, I was like, oh, when did I stop? And then I remembered it was in the petrol station, and the male journalist goes up to the window to see the like employee at the petrol station, and his face is turned away, and you're like, oh, okay, he's dead. And then the camera turns on the other way, and you can see his drawers like unhinged.
That was enough
like,
for you.
Oh, I was like, no. And I remember it being midnight, and I looked at my boyfriend, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna finish watching it another time. And then once I pushed through that part, when I rewatched it just recently and finished it, I was like, okay, I actually really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I guess that's the horror element, you know.
That's so funny, because you're saying, oh, if this could happen to me. See, me, I don't see Michael Myers coming to my house, but if I watch like a supernatural horror, I'm like, that shit could happen to me. That ghost is coming through the Ouija board to get me, and I'm not going to see it coming. Michael Myers, I can see coming. I'm out. I can leg it, you know. But with ghosts and like hauntings and possession movies, my pulse will raise, because I'm just like, this could actually happen to me.
I think I'm like the opposite then, because it's just, you know, I mean, obviously it's not as horror, but when I was younger watching like supernatural and stuff, which I know people probably don't find scary, or
I put it in the horror genre.
But like I remember the first few episodes were a little jumpy, but once I got used to it, I was like, yeah, I'm okay with this, because like that doesn't happen. But like if I watch Halloween, or you know, for example, if I watch I don't know if you've like seen Game of Thrones or anything, where I don't, it's been a while since I've seen it, but like, you know, if you see someone's fingers pressed into someone's skull and like, you know, that kind of thing, or like if it can happen to me, I don't want any part of it. I don't want to look at it. Like I can't even watch like House, like, you know, scenes where they're doing surgery, because I'm like, I know it's not real.
Wow.
But I'm like, no. But like I'm getting better, I think I'm getting better. I can take it.
I recently donated plasma and watched the whole process of them putting the needle in my arm.
I can
okay.
that.
Yeah. Needles don't bother me.
Needles are okay.
A lot of people don't like needles, which is fine.
Yeah.
I just don't. My partner's covered in tattoos. How can he care about needles? Like, I don't understand. I'm just like, Ned, you have a sleeve, you have your legs tattooed, your foot tattooed, which is like a part of my body that I just would not want to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh no, needles, yuck.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating, like, finding what, you know, one person finds scary is, like, different from
I don't
another.
find a lot scary.
I just find it really fascinating.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Which is probably why, like, for me, watching Halloween, like, some people be like, oh, it's not scary because he just stalks people and just follows them and stuff. But I'm like, for me, that's just, like, terrifying. Just, like, the idea of, I think it's just something about not being able to see his face.
I'm with you in that boat.
That freaks me out. Like, it could be, like, hypothetically, like, I mean, I know in the first, like, the original and in a little bit of the new one, you can see part of his face, but, like, apart from that, like, you know, Michael Myers, like, he could be anyone, you know? Like, it's that kind of idea that's, like, it's so clever and it's really good, but, you know, quite haunting at the same time.
I think that's why Laurie always refers to him as the boogeyman. Because he is elusive and nobody knows what he looks like, and he could literally take his mask off and blend into society and nobody would know.
No one would know. Yeah.
That's terrifying. So let's get started talking about Halloween.
Cool.
Yeah, so this movie was directed by John Carpenter, so I don't know if you know who John Carpenter is. He is one of the biggest directors in the world for horror movies, and he's also a music composer. So...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he composed the music for this, I think with his son. So that's pretty cool.
Wicked.
That's cool. He writes really cool soundtracks, like scores for movies. So he wrote the theme for Halloween.
Yeah, which
is pretty cool.
Oh man, I love the theme for Halloween.
Yeah.
It's so good.
My niece was in here dancing to it, and I was like, get out. Like, you're creeping me out.
I swear I've seen some really random, like, meme video of, like, Michael Myers doing, like, a dance with the knife to the theme. I think that's when I first heard it.
And you were just like, what is that?
Yeah, the music's so good.
It's very iconic, and I think that's what's so good about slashers is that all their themes kind of transcend time, no matter what movie it's in, what movie it's part of, it basically represents that movie no matter what. And it's just really cool. I really
so iconic.
Yeah, I'm really into music personally, and I really want to do an episode with a friend named Simon. He has a podcast called Take My Tone, and my partner, who is a musician, so I was like, let's all work out our top 5 albums from like horror movies, and then oh, excuse me, this is what I get for drinking Pepsi. And then like come together and see like where we like match up on.
Yeah, right. See if you guys are on the same wavelength.
Yeah. I'm just going to choose all
wicked.
the albums that have nu metal soundtracks. Like Freddy vs. Jason. It's got the best soundtrack. It has like Rob Zombie and Slipknot on it. So I was like, I'll choose that. That'll be every... What did you choose for number 5, Kat? The Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack? What about number 4? The Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack. So this was actually written with Jeff Bradley, who I'm not very what's the word? I don't know much about him. But also Denny McBride. Do you know who Denny McBride is?
Okay, you said the name, and there's a bell going off in my head going, yeah, Danny McBride.
Yeah, he was in Hot Rod. And he is also in a TV show called Eastbound and Down. But he's in heaps of movies.
Yeah.
And if you saw him, you'd be like, oh, is that his name?
It's going to be one of those moments, I reckon.
Yeah, and he cracks me up. And for a comedian, for him to come in and co-write this, I was like, that's insane.
Just very unexpected, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't expect to see him at all on the credits. And I was like, what? Danny McBride? So this is the 8th Halloween movie in the entire series.
I can't believe there's that many.
Oh, there's still 2 more to come.
Yeah, I know. But, I think there was one that was supposed to come out this year, wasn't it? And then it got delayed.
I'm not too sure.
Next year.
I can't remember. I don't really follow the Halloween series because I haven't always been that big of a fan. But after watching this, I think I'll watch the other 2. Yeah. Because I really like what's been done with them.
Because it's strange. I saw a little picture earlier of, there's the Halloween, like the original kind of timeline. Yeah. And then there's also like another one that's completely not connected to that timeline.
That's Rob Zombie's films.
Yeah. And then there's also, and then you mentioned Freddy first. Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah.
There's like other horror movies that do like. Did you say Freddy vs. Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's always very interesting. Like I guess I don't know if it's like a usual horror movie thing where
there's crossovers and
I
don't really know. I think Freddy vs. Jason was. I'd have to look it up, but I really liked that crossover. I don't know if Halloween did crossovers, but I know that there's like. There's like references to him in heaps of movies, and because I was looking at IMDb to see like what was where in the timeline, but yeah, Rob Zombie's films I haven't seen those for ages. I can't even remember if I liked them because I like Rob Zombie films, but when he does his own thing. Not when he's trying to do a story already created by somebody else.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, yeah. So he did, what did he do? House of a Thousand Corpses. You probably haven't seen that.
You're about to learn how little I've really watched. Like, I guarantee you I'll be the biggest horror baby you've ever had.
I love that, though. And his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, is... the biggest babe. And she's like 50 years old, and I'm like, how do you do that? How? And she's in his movies as Baby Firefly. So there's like the Firefly family, and there's like a whole bunch of movies based around them, and they're like these psychotic cult killers. And if you were saying that you get squirmish around blood and like people getting violently hurt, then don't watch any of Rob Zombie's movies.
Thank you for the heads up.
Because that's all his movies are.
Who knows? I might get braver and I might get stronger. Like
then you can just slowly move into those. Do you know what you should watch?
Baby steps.
Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell. It is my favourite movie of all time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really... I think you'll really... Don't watch the 2013 one, because that's a serious movie, and that might be a little bit too much, because there's a lot of blood in that.
Okay.
But the originals, I love them so much, and everyone's like, oh, they're so scary, but now when you watch them, you're like, this is a horror comedy. I don't know if anyone else sees it that way, but I really loved them. It's my top horror movie of all time.
Okay. I'm gonna have to start taking notes from you now. Because, obviously Halloween's like this time next week, so...
Yeah. I tried to do my 31 Nights of Halloween, and then I was just getting home from work at night and staring at the wall and not watching anything, and I was like, I'm too far behind to keep up. I think I got to 18 movies.
Oh, well, that's pretty good still.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself.
Halfway.
I mean, I did watch some movies at work.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like, you got to get it done somehow, right? Like,
On my lunch break, I was like, I'll just watch some of my movie now and watch the rest later.
There you go.
It was cool. So, they actually released this. They released Halloween in the UK and USA. I don't know when they released it in Australia. I couldn't find where that was. On October 19th, which is actually Michael Myers' birthday.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's wicked. That is...
They were strategically chose that. So that would have been a huge nod to every Halloween fan ever who knew that. And most people would. Most Halloween fans would. And that weekend, it became the highest grossing film in the franchise ever. So it had a budget of 10 to 15 million, and at the box office made 255.5 million.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what? I was thinking about, I really did love the original few movies I did watch, and I know we'll talk about it probably soon, but the opening of the new Halloween, where the male journalist is standing there with a mask, and he's like, tell me, like, speak to me.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to, like, the title with the music, and I would give anything to have been sitting in that cinema after waiting, like, so long for this movie.
Yeah.
And to hear the music in the cinema.
Oh, you would have had people cheering.
Like, honestly, that's what I was imagining. And I literally got chills, because I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I'm kind of reacting as if I've seen the original Halloween, like, for years and years and years, and I still got those chills.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited when a new one comes out. No. It's just, I can't believe, I mean, obviously they're bringing back all those old, the fans from the original, and obviously because they've done so many movies, fans from years and years and years. That's so good.
I know when I go to watch Scream 5 that so with Scream, they always have, like, the opening murder, and then it cuts to the opening credits. So I know as soon as it goes from the first murder to the opening credits, there are going to be people cheering in the cinema. They just will be.
People hate that, but I
no.
love it.
I love it.
Like, yeah, I'm all for it. Like, I guess, like, it's different when people are just being, like, annoying. But then, like, when you get people, you can tell who, like, genuinely love, like, a franchise. Like, I love Marvel, so, going to see Infinity War or Endgame, like, it's just having that atmosphere of, like, also equally, like, people who are obsessed over that thing as you are, and get to enjoy it with those people. Oh man, I love that about the cinema. You just don't get that anywhere else. Like,
no. I have a tendency to go to the cinema really late after a movie releases, so I always miss that atmosphere, because I just don't have the time. But I will be there on opening day of Scream. Like, I will be going to see it.
I'm hoping to do the same with the new Halloween as well.
Yeah, I think it does come out next year. I read it somewhere.
Yeah, I think they pushed it to next year. I'm so sure that they said it was supposed to come out this year.
Yeah.
And then obviously it got changed.
I'm just having a look, because I think I saw 2021. That's next year, isn't it? I don't know anymore.
All the days just blur together now.
I just don't know. Yeah, 2021. And then, so Halloween Kills comes out next year, and then the year after, they've scheduled Halloween Ends to come out. So that'll be good. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Jamie Lee Curtis.
You know what? The first movie I ever saw her in was Freaky Friday. With Lindsay Lohan. Okay, so I just literally. Oh no,
that's so amazing.
And then I saw her in Knives Out, and I
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
I love Knives Out. I thought it was fantastic. I love a good like murder mystery.
Yeah, that's why I want to watch it.
It's really, really great.
I didn't realize that was what it was. I suck at catching spoilers. Like, everyone's like, oh, this got spoiled on the internet for me, and I was like, I didn't see it.
I missed it. Yeah.
I missed it.
You're lucky. I managed to get spoiled by anything and everything, so I think that's maybe why I always try and jump to the cinema first, because I was like, I can't afford to get spoiled right now. But yeah, I'd never watched a movie with a young Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
I did.
Halloween was good.
The first movie I ever saw was True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, that movie came out in 1994. I didn't see it then, but because my dad loves action, like thriller films, and that's what we watched growing up. And so I definitely would have been like maybe 8 when I saw this. And I love True Lies. If you like action thrillers, watch it. It is really good. I really loved it. If you want some good Jamie Lee Curtis acting, she was brilliant.
Jamie Lee Curtis in the new Halloween was so good.
Oh,
and I just
she blew my mind.
What they did with Laurie. Like, I loved her so much. And you feel so bad for her because of, like, obviously her granddaughter, what's her name, Allison?
Allison, yeah.
To have that connection with her, and obviously, like, after just rewatching the original Halloween, you're like, yeah, Laurie would be really traumatized. Like, there was like her friends she just saw like dead, like all around her. Like, I don't blame her for like wanting to go that extra step. Like, that would do something really bad to you. I mean, yeah, like obviously her daughter didn't really have like the best like upbringing and stuff, and you can understand like the dynamics and the relationships there. But I think for those, like, I don't think you have to necessarily see the original to enjoy the
not at all.
One.
No,
but I feel like having seen the original one, you're just like, oh my god, like, yeah, she really went through this stuff, like, and all the kind of crap
it makes sense
to endure. It makes so much sense,
because
so I found myself feeling really bad for her.
I felt really scared for her. Because, like, as, like, myself, like, I have, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And so for me, like, that resonates with me, like, her panic and her stress. And I'm like, oh, I've been there. Sweetheart, I've been there. I know how you feel.
Like, I do, like, like, I've felt a lot more emotion towards her than I think I was maybe expecting to. And, like, again, like, I guess watching horror movies for me, I've never expected to have a very, like, genuine kind of connection, or I guess to the characters, because for me in my head I'm just like, oh yeah, it's just all killings and whatever, and like the thrill of it. But like actually seeing her in that movie, I was just like, wow, like, you've been like through so much, and I can't help but want you to be able to do what you need to do to kind of work through it. I mean, like, even if that meant killing Michael Myers, like, you really want her to win. And when I watched the original, like, you can already see like the beginnings of like a badass anyway, because she like, there's that part where she was stuck in like the cupboard and she got one of the coat hangers and stabbed him in the eye and stuff like that. She was like ready to fight back, as opposed to someone who was just gonna like give in and not put up a fight. And I think that, I don't know, her character in the new one is just really, really amazing to watch. I thought she was brilliant.
She's a survivor, and I think that
so good.
Really, see, like, Laurie Strode is the most famous final girl of all time. And I think that she, every other final girl, they've tried to write and shape after her to be like, okay, Laurie really told us how we have to write this character and how strong they have to be. And I think that Jamie Lee Curtis really, deserves the credit for her acting. Not the way that she was written, but the way that she actually put all of that.
Portrayed.
Yeah, not just how well her, her script was written. I think a lot of it would have been, it's a credit to her, not just the script writing.
Yeah,
she is a freaking amazing actress. Her and Meryl Streep.
I want to see more of her stuff. Yeah.
Oh, my favorites of all time. But so the movie starts out at the institution, doesn't it? With so there's two true crime journalists, Aaron and Dana, and they go along, and they're with, what's the doctor's name? I have it written down here.
His name is hold on. Sartain, Dr. Sartain, the student of Dr. Loomis from the university.
Yeah, but he's got like a French accent, doesn't he? I think
it's funny, like he does give off those massive like Dr. Loomis vibes, and I think in my head I was like, oh, it's another Dr. Loomis. I mean, obviously we'll get to later, like obviously that's not what it turned out to be, but
no,
Dr. Sartain.
Yeah, and I really like when they're in the waiting room and they're like, we're going in, and this monster, and I was like, oh, you have like no idea.
Yeah, I was watching them, and you hear what they're saying, and you're like, you guys are idiots, like you don't know what you're in, like why are you pushing all these buttons, like, and
stop it.
Yeah, I was like, why are you doing this?
And the thing that blew my mind, because I like to find fun facts while I'm writing my notes. So Michael Myers is actually 61 in 2018. So this is the 29th of October in 2018. So it's coming up to Halloween.
61. Oh.
61.
Yeah, that would work out right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, okay. I didn't realise, because I forget that in the first one it starts with him killing his sister when he's like 6, I think, but then he goes to an institution and escapes from there.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, so like he killed his sister in 1963
on Halloween.
Dr. Loomis said it would have been 7. So yeah, like 60. Wow. Okay.
I know, and it's just like, this guy's a machine.
Yeah, like he's just going for it.
But the actor Nick Castle was actually 70 when he filmed this, and he's the oldest actor to have ever played Michael Myers. And I was like, that's cool. So now I'm going to Google what Nick Castle looks like, because then we know what Michael Myers looks like.
Okay, I'm going to do something.
Oh, this guy's been in heaps of movies.
Oh, is he like a well-known...
He looks familiar, but I think I've seen him in quite a few things. Oh, he was in Major Pain. I love that movie. Yeah, he's been in quite a few things. Quite a few. There's like over 40.
Wow.
And so... he taunts Michael with the mask, you know, trying to get him to speak, because obviously Michael hasn't spoken in over 40 years, even longer.
Yeah.
And I just was like, what makes you think that you shaking this mask at him is all of a sudden going to get him speaking to you?
That's what I thought too. I mean, I have to say, like, when he took the mask out, and obviously comparing it to the 1970s one where the mask is obviously a lot cleaner and it's like kind of like white, and you see how like dirty and disheveled it is. It does make it look quite scary. And obviously like obviously a little detail, but like the hair like on the mask just creeps me out.
Yeah, me too.
It's really gross.
Yeah.
And he takes it out of the bag, and I'm like, oh, it's the mask. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but like, what makes you so special that you think that he's gonna say something to you?
Yeah.
But then like all the other people in that
the inmates,
area were like freaking out though.
That made me feel really ill.
Yeah, I felt really like it was really unsettling to listen to. Like the sound design in that opening part was really good, and I guess like that build up and stuff all the way to the title screen.
Yeah,
it was really well done.
Made me feel weird. And because after that, before they go, because they do go to Laurie's house, but before that, that's where the opening credits are.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I found was that the credits are in the same position as they were for the 1978 version. And I was just like, that is... Because when I watched it, I was like, I'm watching the original.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. And it was the same, like, fonts and everything. And I just loved that. And I found it something, like, really random. I was watching... I'm like you, I love little fun facts and trivia. I didn't know this, but the shape of the actual pumpkin, like the jack-o'-lantern, when they zoom into like part of the nose and the eye, it's actually supposed to be Michael with the knife.
Ah, yeah, I have seen that on, when you look at the cover art for the 1978 version, it does look like that as well. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
It's really clever, yeah. And it's interesting how it's like the pumpkin has gone from, like, it's like that reverse, going from being like crushed to whole, whereas in the original it was just like whole the whole way through. Like, I love the similar like positioning and stuff.
It was
I don't know, it just, again, it's not like I've seen the original Halloween and I'm like a big, like, long time fan, but I still got those same little vibes going, oh yeah, this is really cool.
But you can feel that way about it, and I think that that's a really cool thing about horror. And the horror community aren't gatekeepers either. It's not like gaming. And I'm in both communities. So
maybe in my head that's what it's like. So I'm gonna think, oh, anyone that's gonna listen to me now is gonna be like, oh, like she really like doesn't know what she's talking about.
No, not at all.
Like, this is all new to me. Like
that's the thing that the horror community loves, is new people and new perspectives as well. Because it's just like, okay, what did someone think that, you know, doesn't really watch a lot of horror? What do you think of this movie? And I think that that's the really cool thing. You know, like, I came out of nowhere and joined the horror community and was just like, right, I'm here now, so this is my podcast.
There's no going back now.
Yeah. And I've met some really cool people, and I don't see a lot of gatekeeping. I've seen ridiculous Twitter arguments, and I'm like, why are you fighting over this? Like, I'm going back to my personal Twitter. I don't want to listen to this.
Maybe I'm just so used to the gaming side.
Yeah.
My brain's like, I can't say something wrong. Like, I gotta, you know, I mean, like, God forbid if you have different opinions on things sometimes. It's like, it's absolutely terrifying, especially in social media and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, horror, like, I'm very excited to kind of explore a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's lots of fun. And, like, I didn't really start watching a lot of horror until my early 20s. Like, I watched a lot growing up, but it was in my early 20s where I was like, I have to see this. I'm going to watch this new release. I'm going to watch, you know, I'm going to go to the cinemas to see this. So that's where it kind of changed for me. So, after the credits, they go to Laurie's house and they basically give her money for an interview. And, you know, she's holed up in the middle of nowhere, really, with intense security and lots of locks on her door.
I wouldn't blame her.
No.
Like, I saw everything set up and I was just like, you know what, this kind of makes sense. Like,
Fair.
After having to go through that, like, you know, it does things to you. It was such a good opening. Like, even just seeing the house and the setup of where she was living tells you so much about her without having to see her already, you know? And you know she's not messing around anymore.
She's just like, I just want to live life a little bit.
As much as she can.
Yeah. Not that she's living much of a life, really, is she?
No.
And so she ends up kicking them out because they bring up her failed marriage and the fact that her daughter...
I thought that was a bit rough. I was like,
oh.
Like, you came here to talk about Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, you know, be in the good books with her to try and get this interview. And then you bring up the failed marriage and the fact they took the daughter away. And I was like, whoa. I was like...
I just really like how she says something and then she's like, but you already knew that, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then basically like, you can leave. Give me my money out. Like, and why are you here?
Not her. I would imagine this is not her first rodeo either. Like,
no.
Trying to speak to her.
No. But it's really, it really does say a lot about, you know, the impact that this has had on her, the way that she's holed up in a house. And that's later on the daughter Karen does speak about, you know, welcome to my childhood kind of thing when her daughter arrives at the house. And it's just, you can see how it's become intergenerational, like what Michael Myers has done to Laurie. And it's like, it's traumatized her entire family.
Yeah, I have to say, seeing Jamie Lee Curtis, like, I'm so glad that she had come back. You know, they could have easily put another actor in if she really didn't want to do it. But the fact that she, you know, 40 years later has come back as the same character.
The horror community would have had an absolute. There would have been a riot.
Celebrations, like, oh, if she didn't
come back.
Yeah, no, sorry,
and they casted somebody else, there would have been a riot.
Yeah.
They would have been like, nobody else can play Laurie Strode. Stroud. It's weird that they say Strode, and I'm like, that's not how you say it in Australia, like the way she spells her last name. I was like, that's not how we'd say it here, because there's only one O, so.
What do you say? Stroud?
Well, they call her Stroud.
Oh, I would have said Strode.
Yeah, I say Strode
the whole time. And then I heard you and I was like, oh my god, I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Well, I've been saying it wrong, and then I was watching the movie and they're calling her Stroud, and I was like, what? There's no U in that. What the fuck? But then we also, after this, it kind of flicks over to her daughter's life with her husband, who has an amazing sense of humour. I love him. He's such a dad. I like how he's like, oh, no, there's peanut butter on my penis. Because he flicked peanut butter all over himself. And I was like, oh.
I was like, Dad. Like...
Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Stop.
He's such a dad. I love it. And we find out that Alison's she got into the Honour Society. So her family's having a dinner later that night. Yeah. And, you know, she's saying to her mum, have you spoken to grandmother? Don't know how I felt about that.
Is that an American thing?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I
thought that you just say grandma. It'd just be so much easier.
That makes sense, right? Too many words. Too many syllables.
Am I just lazy? Like, I'm just
like, I have a grandma. She's sitting outside. I don't call her grandmother. That's odd. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's because they're so estranged that maybe that's why.
Or maybe that's just the way that. What's Laurie's daughter's name?
Karen. Yeah.
Like, maybe that's just the way she's been brought up, and she's been.
That's you know, I call her mother, so you call her grandmother.
Grandmother.
I don't know. And then there's a scene where they're actually walking down the street. Alison's walking with her friends, and it actually mirrors a similar scene with Laurie and her two friends walking.
Girlfriends?
Yeah, walking down the same like street. Well, not the same street, but a similar street. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, there's little nods and references that I wouldn't have noticed.
There's quite a few. There's another scene when you get to it. I don't know whether you've already got it noted down already. In the classroom, which is very much like only just because I've just literally just rewatched the original one. It's almost same. I don't want to say shot for shot in case I'm wrong. Of just a zoom in on Laurie and a zoom in on Alison, like in their classroom as students, and they both look out the window. And when Laurie looks out the window, Michael's there. But when Alison looks out the window, Laurie's there. And I loved that.
I thought that was very similar, because that's the next scene.
Yeah.
In this, because as this is happening at the same time, Michael's been transferred to another facility.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're kind of seeing the two different storylines. Like, Laurie with her family, she's very stressed because Michael is being transferred, but then also Michael getting ready to be transferred. And Dr. Sartain wanted to go with him, but he didn't end up going, and he ends up... The bus goes. And... I
thought he did end up going. He was on the bus.
Oh, he was he?
Yeah, he was, because he was... Oh, no. Maybe I was wrong. I'm thinking of someone else that was in the bus, maybe that looked like him. I thought he did. Hold on. Now I'm second guessing.
My niece was running in and out of the room when that scene happened, so I was like, can you leave?
Yeah, no, he did.
Oh, okay. I don't remember seeing him.
He was in the bus, and oh, no, hold on. You keep going, because I'm about to jump ahead again.
That's all right. So there's the two timelines happening. Well, not two timelines, like Laurie's perspective and Michael's perspective.
Yeah.
And so Laurie is an alcoholic, we discover, when she basically rocks up to the dinner celebrating Alison's Honour Society with Alison's boyfriend, Ray the dad, and Karen. And she's talking and basically sculls half a glass of wine.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa! Red as well? Ow!
Yeah, I couldn't. Not red.
No, not even white. And so they're at the dinner, and at this time, Laurie basically has a breakdown at the table and gets up and leaves. And at the time that this is happening, Michael purposely crashes the bus, which is really quite terrifying.
Yeah, that was pretty pretty bad.
Because he's, like, just a really big dude.
He just is. Okay, really random. I'm trying to look up to see how tall Nick Castle is because he just seems to tower over everyone. He's 5'10". He's not that tall then. I would have imagined he was like 6.
He's 1.78 meters. How tall is that? Is that? Because I'm 1.6.
A little bit taller than me.
Yeah, I'm 5'4". Yeah, I'm like, I'm really short. I'm 164. My sister's 5'2", so she little, she baby. And so I'm just opening a soda water. Where am I up to?
The bus has crashed.
Yeah, and so this is where the toilet scene is. Oh well, I really hate this. When the bus crashes and he kills the dad and the child. Oh, So that's how I remember Sartain was there because remember the kid went up to the bus, or was it the kid? No, sorry, it was the policeman later that went up to the bus and he accidentally shoots Sartain in the shoulder. Yeah.
But yeah, I felt bad for that kid and the dad. Like you just know they're gonna.
Oh, they're gone.
Something really terrible, and you're like, yeah, that's it, game over.
Great.
As soon as one person gets up and leaves, and one person's left on their own, that's it. You're done.
That's it. That's just a horror movie thing. Everybody knows. Don't separate. Stay together.
Yeah.
And so, they actually go to visit Judith's grave, who is Michael's sister who he killed.
Yeah.
And Michael is basically stalking them around the place because he's got the car now. I wonder if he was driving along with his mask on in the car.
Well, do you have
no, he didn't have his mask.
I had to laugh at the original because I'm watching it a second time because they were saying like, how can Michael drive unless someone's been giving him lessons? And there's that part where you were talking about Laurie and the two girlfriends who were walking down the street and they're yelling at him in the car because they're like, oh, it's just, they were trying to say it was some kid from their school. And
yeah.
it's just...
In his mask.
So funny. He's in his mask and he's driving and he's just looking at them the whole time and like, you just can't help but laugh. But, like,
there's so many memes on that.
Oh, it's so good. But you can't...
You're like, why? How are you driving? Excuse me, sir.
I forget he can drive until you mentioned that. I was like, oh yeah, he can drive.
But how?
Yeah, I know. Who taught him? Like,
I'm sure the psychiatric institution, they weren't giving driving lessons. They weren't giving him life skills because there was no way in hell he was getting out. Ridiculous. And so, they all end up at the gas station. Petrol station.
Favorite part.
When she's in the bathroom and like scrambling underneath as he's like banging on all the that terrified me.
That made me
that
feel
actually
claustrophobic.
Yeah, me too. I was just like, get out of there, get out. But I like obviously she wasn't, and I can't remember how he killed her.
Hold on. Now I'm trying to remember too. Hold that thought. 2 seconds.
I didn't write that down.
I just I had it up here because I was watching it before I started chatting to you because I was like,
yeah, he just stabbed the other guy. I'm pretty sure.
Did he choke?
Hold on. Yeah, I don't think he had weapons. He might have choked them both.
Because hold on, I'm like literally just skipping through. I'm about to see how she dies. That was stressful. Yeah, I think he choked her.
I thought so.
Her neck or something.
Yeah, because I remember just
her neck.
That feels so good right now. Ooh, a little bit of an adjustment. This is how I cope. Jokes, but yeah, and I think he just chokes Aaron because Aaron comes in because he hears Dana screaming in the bathroom. Yeah. But just her scrambling under all those doors. Yeah, that was really intense.
And he's like shaking on the door as well.
I know. I was like, no.
Stop. Go.
Because I like at first she's like, Aaron, stop it. And I was just like, no, dude, he's just going to randomly come into the girls' bathrooms. Like.
Yeah. Well, they shouldn't have tried to antagonize him with his mask in the first place.
Well,
maybe.
And then go visit his sister's grave.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
But
It's almost Halloween. Get out of there.
Because that was his first... Oh, no, I mean, I guess there were the killings in after the bus crash, but I guess this was the first, like, really gruesome, like, attacks we see in the movie so far. And I think after... So I was curious, like, I knew obviously the newer film would be a little bit bloodier, because, like, when... In the originals, like, even when you see them, like, Laurie go to try and attack him, it's very all, like, off-camera or different angles. You can't really see too much. So I was like, oh, are they going to stay true to that, or are they just going to go all out? And then I saw that guy with his jaw unhinged, and I went, okay, they're going to go all out. And I was like, one moment, please. And I just turned around and I'm like, I can't look.
I just need a break.
Yeah.
Can we watch some Care Bears for a little while?
Yeah.
some Rick and Morty or something? Puppies playing with kittens, please. Yeah. See, the thing is, and I've told people this before, when I watch a horror movie, my, like, because everyone's like, oh, you know, I like to watch something nice and fun afterwards. I was like, I watch Forensic Files.
Oh, no.
After I watch a horror movie. And then I sleep. And I'm fine. There's got to be something going on in my brain where it just, like, lives in this compartment and I just forget about it.
Stays away. No, I always, just to be safe, after I watched Halloween that night, or when I have been watching Haunting of Bly Manor, I've just gone, okay, I'm just going to watch some really funny videos just to kind of get it all
TikTok
out of my head. I don't want to dream about it when I go to sleep. Like, I don't need
really
it reappearing.
Dream. I'm jealous of people who dream.
Oh, I dream all the time. I think that's why. And they're really, like, vivid dreams, too. So, like, I had a dream last night that someone wanted to tattoo me, and I couldn't make up my mind on what they wanted. And they, like, I could see, like, their needle right there, and I was stressed, and I woke up, and I was, like, looking at my arms, and I was like, do I? So
you're like, please tell me I didn't do that.
Just playing with my anxiety, my dream. Like, no, thank you. The last thing I need is for, like, Michael Myers to rock up and be like, hello. Yeah, so I have to debrief after, like, something scary.
That's fair. I go to sleep watching, like, murder mystery, like, true crime documentaries. I don't know. I don't dream. So for me, like, I'm not really that worried when I go to sleep.
That's nice.
I don't watch Haunting of Hill House at night. I'm not watching that at night time because I'll definitely have nightmares.
No, definitely.
No thanks. But my grandma, because my grandma loves supernatural horror. And so she was watching Haunting of Hill House and she's like, it got too scary. But it's kind of more like Bly Manor, like you were saying, with the, just like a couple of jump scares, but then little, if you blink, you'll miss it stuff. And so she's like, oh, and I was like, Grandma, I spent 3 episodes of this show crying because it gets so sad. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I better watch it then. I was like, what?
Charming.
And I'm not a crier. Like, I don't cry over anything unless it's a really sad movie or TV show. Yeah. And you know, sometimes you just need a good cry. So I'll put on a sad movie if I need a good cry.
Yeah.
Get it all out. So that night, everybody knows that Michael has escaped and is obviously on the way to Haddonfield. And so Laurie goes over to Karen's house and is basically like, you're not safe here, you need to get out. Well, actually, no. She's in the house, remember?
She's in the house already and she's scared.
And she's like, bang, you're dead. And I was just like, what is this, training camp?
Just chill out a little bit. It's like, you could have been a bit nicer.
Yeah, like, how about you just have a proper conversation?
But then at the same time, like, if I was Laurie, I'd be absolutely, like, crapping myself.
Livid.
Going, my God, he's coming back. I've got to get my family. They can't mess around now. But I guess, like, yeah. I've
got to show them how serious.
Just after, like, at the end of the petrol station scene as well, before we see Laurie. Just also the moment of him going into, like, that boot of the car and getting the mask out and putting it on. So
and it's, like, the slow-mo where he's, like, dun, 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 dun. And I'm like, ah!
Yeah. But no, she was really abrupt. And I like, she'd be scaring them more. And, like, I guess... Yeah. I don't know. It's all about, like, the character themselves and what they would do in those situations. But, yeah.
But she does also have PTSD. I did feel a little
bit bad for Karen because she would have absolutely, like, wet herself.
I just would have been like, what are you doing, Mum? What are you doing in my house? How did you get in? And she's like, what do you mean, how did I get in? You don't even have locks. You don't have a security system. Your window was open.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's got a point. Like, your mum makes a good point,
But then that sounds like she's being a bit of a mum as well. Like, you know, like...
Yeah. Also mum stuff.
Except also, like, she also has a gun. And
Yeah.
ready to, like,
And she's like waving it around, and I'm like, put that thing down. What are you doing? And so they basically kick her out, and they're like, you just need to move on with your life. And at this time, Allison is at the Halloween dance, because this is Halloween. This is the morning / day / night of Halloween. All this stuff is happening. And so Allison and her boyfriend have gone as Bonnie and Clyde, but they've done a gender swap. Which I thought was really cool. Minus the fact that he makes out with some other chick at the Halloween
that was
party.
a bit of a
and he's a total dick.
Dick move, yeah.
And I was just like, he was so nice through the whole thing, and then he just totally gaslights her.
He was really awful.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Excuse me? That's how I felt about him.
Yeah, that's
because he's just
my
like
exact feelings.
Yeah, I was just like, I wasn't expecting, like, but I guess they kind of need to build up, like, Allison's character as well.
And break her off from him, so,
yeah.
Well, like, yeah.
Because I'm guessing she'll be in the next few. Like, in the
I'd
next
like to
two.
think so.
Yeah, I really liked her. And they were, a few people had met with Danny McBride and some of the other writers when they were casting Allison's character. And I think Emma Roberts...
Oh.
And I can't remember the other one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they basically were like, no, let's cast a completely unknown actress the same way we did with Jamie Lee Curtis for Laurie.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they did that because, I don't know, and I'm not saying this is an awful way, but I couldn't imagine doing, like, Emma Roberts, like, as, like, that teenager character anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, that would have been a really strange choice. Yeah, I really liked
Me
the
too.
new actress. Well, I thought she was
Yeah.
cool.
I'll find out what her name is, actually. Her name is Andy Matichak.
And was this, like, her first movie, or...
No.
Has she been in other things?
She's been in a few other things. Just mainly TV series, like in a couple of episodes here and there. So this would have been her first big role.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think she was
more
brilliant.
Because she was quite likable.
Yeah, I really liked her character. She was empathetic with her grandmother, and I like that she kind of went behind her mum's back to still like be friends with her grandmother and stuff.
I did
so
like
it
that
was
too.
nice.
And then Laurie also went and gave her the money that she took from the journalist
Yeah.
world, didn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm going to save it for college. And she's like, no, go to
don't do
Mexico.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the kind of stuff my grandmother, like, says to me. So I kind of get it. I was like, my grandma's always like, no, have fun instead.
Yeah.
And so Allison leaves the party with Oscar, who is just...
Oscar.
an idiot. And at the same time, earlier that time, Allison had actually called her friend Vicky, who was babysitting at the time. And so while Allison's finding... There's just so many different
storylines going on.
Yeah. And so at that time, Allison is at the party, but she's having a fight with her boyfriend, and then Vicky is making out with her boyfriend Dave.
But she's supposed to be babysitting. And
Yeah.
then Laurie's also trying to warn the family that Michael's
Like, trying to
coming
get
back.
everyone together, and it's just like, ah!
And everyone's so, like, far away from each other in their own little worlds. And I think, you know, it'd be natural to think, like, obviously when I start looking more at Vicky, you're like, okay, like, it's that classic babysitting kind of trope they did in the original film as well. So it was like,
that the babysitter
like,
dies.
You know, we're leading up to something here.
Yeah. But I really love the conversation between her and the kid, Julian,
Oh my
that
God,
she
the kid
babysits.
is amazing.
Yeah.
He was so... Oh my God, he made me laugh.
I like it.
So much.
He's like, I want to be sitting here cutting my nasty ass toenails. And I was like, ew! I thought he was clipping his nails.
When he... there's... Before I forget, I have to say it. There was that line where... what's Vicky's boyfriend's name? Was it Dave?
Dave, yeah.
Yeah. when he comes in and the kid comes down and he goes, oh, there's something up there, and then Vicky's like, oh, I'll go up, and he goes, no, like, get Dave to go first. And I was like, get Dave to go
Send
first.
him up.
It's just so
The kid cracked
funny.
me up because I like how he says to Vicky, oh, I'm going to tell my mum on you. Like, for smoking weed with your friends. And she's like, yeah, I'll tell your mum about your browser history. And he's like, you wouldn't.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't.
She's like, yeah, it would. It was such a... It was quite a funny relationship. And they just brought that humour into it that I wasn't expecting either. And even though his screen time was really short, it was something I do remember laughing quite a lot.
Oh, I loved it. I thought he was great. I was like, keep him in the movie.
Yeah, like, bring it back. Have him in a cameo, like...
Yeah. And so, this is where... so he calls Vicky upstairs and is like, I saw someone in my cupboard. And so she checks the cupboard, and Michael's in the cupboard, or was he outside the room? I'm not too sure.
Well, I was definitely not expecting him to... Well, I should have been. Classic horror thing. I should have expected him to be in there. Because, like, I think I was just used to the original where it would follow him going into the house.
Yeah.
Like that, but they didn't do that. Because initially, like, she went in and she pretended, like, that there was something in there and it wasn't. And, yeah, it was when she went into the cupboard, he was in there and he just...
Yeah.
Like, absolutely, like, moved like a machine towards her.
The way he
It's
moves
like...
is unnatural.
Oh, it's really, like... It's almost like a puppet, almost. Like, not quite a puppet, but, like, it's just so lifeless.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what's so daunting. Like, usually you can tell a lot about someone with their body language, and I think that's the big thing about him as well.
He lacks it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah, him coming out that cupboard, I was like, ah! And the kid's just like, oh, shit. And he, like, runs, he just, like, he leaps out the bed, and he's, like, trying to call out to Dave, and,
well, we find Dave downstairs later.
Yeah, already.
That was, because, Laurie was heading over to the house because she had heard what had happened. So no, the police were in the house. That's right. And the police officer goes upstairs, and Vicky's actually under a sheet, dead. Because he lifts the sheet up. And Michael's already out of the house at this stage.
Yeah,
Julian survived, thank God. He didn't touch Julian. So hopefully he will make a cameo in the next one.
Maybe. He just doesn't kill kids. Like, you were talking about that baby that he passed, like, when he first goes into Haddonfield, and, like, he just went straight past it. And I was like, okay. Like, you know.
Babies are safe, thank God.
Off limits.
Children are safe. Teenagers not.
No. He obviously gets to a certain age and he's like, okay, this is okay.
Well,
and it's like, no.
I wonder if he assesses them before he kills them. He's like, how old could they possibly be? Do I kill them?
It's so strange. It's so bizarre. Like, I even remember, like, it was in the original one as well, like, when it was weird because he was following, like, the kid that Laurie was babysitting for a while.
Yeah. Maybe to get to Laurie.
Yeah, okay. Well, now you say it, I'm like, yeah, probably because he was, those were like the first two people he had seen when he arrived back at Haddonfield. So, I guess, you know, he leaves kids alone.
Yeah, which is good. I don't like a movie where kids die or kids get... I mean, he did kill that kid at the start of the movie, though, but...
Yeah.
That was more I think he would probably saw that as a necessity.
Yeah, like, did we see that on camera, though? Was that...
Yeah. You see him, like, break the kid's neck.
Yes. Okay, no. I remember that now. Oh, yeah, now I do. It's all coming back to me, and I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So, during all of this, Alison and Oscar have left the party, and Oscar's like, alright, I've got a shortcut this way. And then it skips over to the police officer coming down the stairs. And this scene, I was just like, holy shit. Because it pans around the house like a side, like you just, like a cut. I don't know what it's called, where you just see, it's like a, I don't know. You probably know more than me. But it's like panning the living room and Dave's like on the wall, like off, like, a couple of feet off the ground, like, stabbed into the wall. I was like,
that's
whoa.
like, that's like that's like the boyfriend from the first one as well. In the kitchen, he took like one knife to the chest and he literally just hung up there.
Yeah.
And that was really gross. Yeah.
Yeah. It just looks really painful. So I'm like, oh, they wouldn't have died quickly. Yeah. That sucks.
No.
And then at the same time, Laurie's she's out and about, and she runs into Michael and shoots him, I think, at this stage. Yeah. But he gets away, obviously. Because she panics and she's like, I saw him, like, he's free. Because she goes over to Karen's house.
Yeah.
And...
Is there lore? I'm sure there is lore out there in the universe somewhere. Because he's just invincible. He's just like...
Yeah. And I think they try to explain it in this film. Like, Dr. Sartain brings up, like, this hypothesis that... Michael's want to kill Laurie keeps him alive, and Laurie's want to kill Michael keeps her alive. And maybe
it's just like he's been shot so many times, and
he's been stabbed, he's been shot,
run over by a car.
Yeah,
like, surely, like
no.
But there has to be some kind of supernatural element to it. There's just no way, like,
that he lives.
He's a normal human being, and I could be wrong, but I don't know if they touched on that in any of the other, like, later old Halloween movies.
I'd have to watch them to see.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, there's, like, an episode where Jason, from Friday 13th, goes to space.
What? Really?
Yeah. It gets so good! Yes. You have to... And you have to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street, because they're, the third movie, Dream Warriors, is so good. It's so ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah. And you have to watch Hellraiser. Hellraiser's Hellraiser's good.
Okay. Yeah. Alright. Oh,
they're all good, like, 80s horror movies.
To watch them.
And I love 80s horror, so I sat watching, like, those kinds of horror movies without even thinking that there's so much more out there. I was just like, these are it. This is the only horror movies. And now I'm like, give me B-grade movies. Give me Grindhouse films. I love Grindhouse films. Anything, like the Blumhouse productions. So Jason Blum does some really... He did this one. He was a part of the production team for this. And so they do really cool remakes and just really easy to watch horror. There's one on Netflix called Truth or Dare. That's a good one. I really liked that.
Truth or Dare. Oh, that's not the one with the teenagers and the... No, that's something else. Hold on.
That might be Hush, I think.
It sounds familiar, but
It's good. And they did a remake of Fantasy Island. I want to watch that. That's on my list.
I heard about that one.
It's got the girl from Pretty Little Liars on it. I can't remember her name. Emily, I think. I think her name... Not in the show. I think her actual name. And she was in The Sisterhood of the Travelling Pants.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's in heaps of She's in heaps of horror movies. Like, she was in Scream 4.
Okay. Screams, I think, appealed a bit more to me than the others, just because I've... Oh, wait, hold on. Or is Scream appealing to me because I keep thinking, is it Scary Movie that has the Scream thing? Is that what I'm thinking of? Okay, yeah. I think it is.
But watch it, because the ending and the movie goes so differently to Scary Movie.
Okay.
Very different. But
sorry, I keep bringing this conversation off track.
No, don't apologize at all. And so Allison, it's just so confusing because there's so many different things going on at this point. So, we'll focus on Allison and Oscar. And so they're jumping this really... He's like, here, I got a shortcut, let's go this way. Now, Oscar's drunk. I'm pretty sure he's carrying beers with him.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be the nice friend, like the good one. And then that does a 180.
Yeah, because when Allison jumps over the fence, he tries to kiss her.
Yeah.
And she's just like, what the fuck? Get off me. And I love that she's so blunt.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. She just stands her ground. She's like, what are you doing?
No. I know I'm never going to feel that way about you. What the hell? What made you think that? Just because I'm being nice to you. And I was like, yeah, good.
And he's like, and he was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm just so
drunk.
Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, shut up. Like,
and she's just like, I'm out. And he those massive fog lights go on in the backyard that they've climbed into.
Okay, I have to say, I shouldn't have laughed because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
It was just so like, he was just, because you could just see Michael near that tree.
And he's like, oh, hey, Mr. So-and-so.
Well, apparently, whatever name he used there was the name of one of the characters in the original movie.
Oh, cool. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it is off memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, hey, he's like, blah, blah, blah. And he's just chatting.
Yeah.
Michael's just standing there, and I'm going,
he's probably like, shut up.
Yeah.
If Michael thinks anything.
His death was pretty gross, though.
Yeah. What did he...
It was the spikes on the fence.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and his face just went through that.
Oh, but I just like how when you look from Oscar's point of view over to Michael, you can't really tell who he is.
No, you can't. You can't blame him either. Like, it really could be anyone. And again, because it's Halloween, you just think it's just like...
But people, I think by 2018 would know that mask. As
and
that's the mask.
Too,
yeah.
Like, surely.
They'd know. Like, you'd think they'd know. Alison would know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I guess he was also drunk as well, so...
Yeah, but the thing that they did, which scared the crap out of me, was when the sensor lights were, like, going on and off. And, like, Michael was, like...
tell how he was moving?
Yeah, and I'm just like, nah. He's a ghost.
I loved that. That was so
I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, this is scary. Like, I actually closed my eyes.
Oh.
Because I was like, I really hate... when a light will turn on and, like, the killer or the ghost or the whatever's face is, like, right there. And I'm like, no, I can't. I hate that. I hate it so much. I don't like jump scares. No,
me either. I cannot do jump scares. Like, the occasional one's okay. Like, I'm going to sound like a grandma at the moment, but no. You understand when I tell you, even, like, when I was watching the original Halloween, just literally... few hours ago, I was like, oh yeah, a good time to rewatch it again so I can compare the two. I was doing some embroidery and I was kind of like watching the show and also looking down, and it was really quiet for a while and I wasn't really paying attention, and something loud happened and I like pricked myself with the needle.
Oh no.
Because I just like jumped so much, and I think that scared me more than the actual movie did, because I was like, I can't do
stabbing
jump scares
myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I really love the art of it. And how some movies just do it so well and others...
just, like, cheap, kind of...
Yeah. But the movies that do it really well, that's where I'm like, oh, that movie... And, like, the thing is, I can walk away from a movie and say, yeah, that scared me, but I enjoyed it. Like, I really liked it. And I think that's what makes a really good, like, scary horror film. Because, you know, you have all different... Like, I don't find slashers very scary. Mm-hmm. I find them fun to watch because you know the formula already. You know what's going to happen, and with this one, you know the premise and how things should happen, but sometimes it just... the intensity and the suspense around it was more scary than what was happening, and I think that's what makes Halloween a really good movie. Yeah, I think it's the anticipation as well. I really, really love. I think because it's not... the film doesn't have a lot of jump scares too. I probably appreciate that a little bit. Like, I think, like, I feel like music, you know, the build up in music sometimes, I love kind of being a little bit on edge, you know, when it's leading up to something big. But actual, like, physical, like, characters jumping or appearing, like, I can do it, but I don't love it. Yeah. I think I've obviously watched any movies where I feel like they could do it well, you know? Do you have any
recommendations for good jump scary?
All of the Conjuring movies, any possession movie. I'm the same with The Conjuring, don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm doing a podcast episode on it soon, hopefully, and I have to rewatch it. And I really want to get into the universe because James Wan created the universe. So it's The Conjuring, it's the Annabelle movies, The Nun, and a couple of others, I'm pretty sure. And he's an Australian writer and director from Melbourne, and he did the first 2 Saw movies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's a really brilliant writer, and he does some really cool stuff. And I think he's got some things coming up soon, because they mentioned him on a podcast that I was listening to. There's like some news about him. He's doing a TV show. That's right. Or a tech horror film, called Megan. And it's meant to be really amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that because he's just a really good director. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Have you watched Saw?
No, but that's also another thing I know from Dead by Daylight. I know, big nerd, because I just
Jigsaw's not Jigsaw, the puppet.
Pig.
What's the puppet's name?
Well, there's like I don't know if this is a connection to the movie or not, but the killer's called Amanda, and she's got a pig head. Yeah,
that's
disgusting.
Connected to the movie. Yeah.
Gross. and then there's these little cages that are set up around the mat because she can put a trap on your head, and if you try and escape the mat without taking the trap off, you'll die.
Is it a bear trap?
Yeah,
like a trap that goes over.
Goes all over.
That's her trap from the Saw movie.
And then all those little cages that you use to try and find the key to unlock it, there's only like a certain one that will unlock it. So sometimes you waste time, and a little like puppet looking thing would, like, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, will laugh at you, and it's the worst feeling ever. Yeah.
No, that's why I don't play Dead by Daylight.
But like playing it is so much different, I think, to watching it. And once you kind of get used to it, and especially if you play it with other people, it's good fun. I played it with 3 of my friends, and they all loved it. Like we were all squealing through it. But I think it was just being like suffering through it like together. Was, like,
that's what I'd need. Yeah. I'd have to play with other people.
Oh, absolutely.
I suck at. I will watch any horror movie, but horror games.
Not so much.
I really want to play The Evil Within. I have 1 and 2, and I'm just like, I can't bring myself to play it.
Oh, that one's been recommended to me as well. That and Outlast.
Oh, I don't have that.
And I've been told to play Alien Isolation.
Yeah, I've got that, I think. Oh, no, I don't have... I have, there's a PlayStation exclusive that was done, and then they did a VR version of it. Like, they did, that scary coaster? On VR.
Not the Until Dawn, like Rush of Blood.
Yes, Until Dawn. I have Until Dawn, and Hayden Panettiere is a voice actor in it.
Too.
And I was like, I need to play it because I love her so much.
Because she does the mocap for it too.
The what? Motion capture. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And,
I was like,
there's actually quite a few actors I've known from other things. Like there's one guy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. who's in it.
Wow.
There's a couple of others you'll recognise as well, because I loved watching the behind the scenes of that. But yeah, no, that one's a really good one.
I really want to play it. Maybe I'll just suck it up and play it at Christmas during daytime.
Do it.
During daytime hours. And so after Michael gets sick of Oscar talking crap,
yeah,
he just would have probably done it just to shut him up. Like,
yeah,
just oh my god, be quiet.
Right through the mouth too. Like,
yeah, so it goes through like his.
There.
Because it's only the one, because they're quite big, aren't they? I thought it was a couple.
I forget, it's like audio, so no one's looking at me pointing like at my finger, going like underneath my jaw. So it's like,
going through my mouth.
The jaw, out through the mouth. Really
and the thing is, like, I don't say anything, so I'm just like, yeah, no, you're right, yeah, that's one. And Alison thinks that Oscar's joking. So she hesitates to go back, but she does go back and sees Michael.
He's like screaming, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and she's just like, oh, whatever, nice try. But then she was like,
maybe not.
Maybe I should go check on him. And she goes she goes back and is, you know, confronted with Michael on the other side of the fence. And so she makes a run for it. And the officer and Dr. Sartain have been driving around and to come and, like, trying to find Michael, right? And so they put Allison in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And they're driving around, and they find Michael. And the cop, who was his name is Frank. He was the police officer in the first film that wanted to kill Michael, but Dr. Loomis wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool that he was, you know, they brought I don't know if it's the same actor, but the same character.
Yeah.
And that was nice. And I was like, well, maybe they should have just killed him in the first one. Damn it, Loomis.
Yeah.
And so,
well, Loomis did shoot him like 4 times.
I know! How weird is it in that scene where he's like shooting him and he's like body's jerking and I'm just like, I hate it!
Like a full flip, like Resident Evil flip from like RE4 if anyone's played that. He just does like a full like flip around and I know he's supposed to fall out of the balcony, but he looks like he climbs, like half climbs and half falls.
I was just
so
like, what are you doing?
I love it. It's
just
good.
Die! Go! And so, Hawkins, like, revs his car up and absolutely just like, takes him out. I was like, oh! I was like, wow, okay. Alright, cool. And so, you know, Sartain saying, don't kill him, because he's property of, you know, the federal government, or the state, I don't know what he says. And he... Oh, excuse me. He goes out, they both go out and they're like having a fight out the front of the car and Sartain stabs him.
Yeah, that was so
And weird. I was just like, what? Excuse me?
I don't know if I liked that little twist, because
I did.
You did? If he's been studying Michael this whole time, okay, like, I know you were about to probably mention it as well, but, like, the fact that he says something like, oh, so this is what it must feel like. He puts on
his
the mask.
mask.
I'm like, dude, like, you've been studying him this whole time, and you've gotten obsessed to the point where, like, it's probably really unhealthy.
Yeah.
And, like...
And you see that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that respect, like, I can understand why they did that, because otherwise he'd just be like another Dr. Loomis. And it's just, like, you kind of know what to expect from him. So, you're like, yes, like, it was unexpected, but I don't know, it was just, like, how, like, I wish I kind of knew how he got to that point where he was
that obsessed.
Just, like, there were no indicators or anything beforehand that...
Oh, he was having a conversation with Frank in the car about saying, you know, what makes him kill, what makes him tick, like, there's got to be something that triggers him, because everybody says he's just a killing machine, but he's been dormant all this time. There's got to be something that made him want to come back. Yeah. And that's not even an indication that he's obsessed?
No, I mean, like, I guess because he's just been studying him for so long, like Loomis did. It was just like, oh yeah, like, obviously he wants to know, you know, what motivates him and stuff. But there was nothing I feel like that showed to me, oh yeah, like, he's, like, I don't know how to explain it, like, that he was going to turn on the sheriff or on Allison or anything in any way. And it was almost, I think I had maybe a little bit of a giggle when he put the mask on, because I was like, okay, like, why are we here now? I was like,
you are nuts.
I was like, what's happened to you? Like, what? Yeah. Like, I love it, but also part of me is just like, oh. I don't know.
But it's at this point that we also find out that Sartain had basically let Michael escape. Yeah. So that he could, like, watch him in society and be like,
I guess in that case, that's probably a really good indicator of him.
Yeah, and I was just like, so you're the nutcase. Yeah. Here. Oh, good.
Like, who thought that was a smart idea? Like,
I don't know. Just like, you fucking idiot. And then he throws Michael in the back seat with Allison, and I was like, what are you doing?
I could not understand that, and it was the most stupidest move, because obviously it wasn't long before he was gone as well. Like,
also killed. And
Yeah,
that
like-
scene where Michael, regains consciousness and, Allison is saying in the car, let me out, I'll tell you what he said to me. And I was like, that's so clever, because Sartain is so blinded by having Michael react to something emotionally that even the manipulation that Allison was, trying to put onto Sartain, basically blackmailing him.
Yeah. I think it was interesting as well, like at the it kind of goes back to at the beginning. I was very intrigued when they let the two journalists come in.
Yeah.
To interview them, and then now that you kind of know a bit more about Sartain, it's like, well, obviously he's so desperate to find out
something.
Trying to get something from Michael, and the fact that they've let these two random, journalists in, and they have the masks. Like, I thought, wow, like I thought this facility is really more secure than that, but I guess it kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, and when he but that instant when it just goes quiet. And Allison looks down and the mask is no longer on the seat between them. He's wearing it. And I was just like, ugh. No. How do you got hit by a car. How are you here?
A fraction of his face, I think, at this point. Only very vaguely, but still that's not... The fact that, again, the fact that you don't see his entire face and you still can't tell really who he is under the mask in this new one is just so terrifying. And I know in the original... You did see his full face for, a few seconds. But, it's just the whole... I've always hated the idea of the unknown. I think that's why I've always been scared of horror movies and games. It's like, I don't know what's around the corner, or I don't know what's in that room, or things like that. And it's just, the fact that you don't really know what the killer looks like underneath. It's just... Yeah. I don't know. I really like that about Halloween.
Yeah. And that's the same with Scream, because they always have Ghostface. So it's just like, who is the killer? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And I think with Friday 13th, you do see his face, but he prefers to wear a hockey mask. Now, he doesn't put a hockey mask on until the second or third movie.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, okay. So for the first one, he doesn't have a hockey mask. So, yeah, I think... I'm trying to remember... I think it's the third one he has a hockey mask, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And that's what he's famous for. And, Jason doesn't put it on.
Have the hockey mask on.
Yeah.
Not that I've watched the movie, I've played the game. So I've always known to see him with the hockey mask. But to think he doesn't have the hockey mask in the first one's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Or second one.
You don't really see him in the first one either, his face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is... I like that as well. Like you said, that fear of the unknown and what does he look like. And the only people who know are the victims. Because they're the only ones that have that point of view where they would see his face. Because we always see everything from Jason's perspective in the first one. Yep. It's really cool. And have you seen Friday 13th?
No, I've already played the game.
There's a reason why you don't see his face.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm even more intrigued now.
Yeah, there's a reason. Hold on, I'm trying to find if he... maybe he does have the No, he has a a bag over his head, like a canvas bag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's been so long since I've seen the first one, but I only watched the second and third really recently. Yeah. I think I'm right. Anyone who's listening, tell me if I'm wrong. It's been at least 17 years since I watched the first one, so it's been a really long time. And so this is where Michael absolutely annihilates the Doctor by kicking through that police, what is it, metal sheet? I don't know what it looks like a fence to me. Yeah, it's a cage. It's a cage.
Oh, the barrier, in the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, knocks, smashes his head into the steering wheel. I was like, that is brutal. He just doesn't care. And then he drags the Doctor out. And at that point, Allison, makes a run for it through the forest. And I was like, all right, you have a road right in front of you that goes to your grandmother's house, and you're going into the woods. What are you doing? Who raised you?
Clearly not her grandma.
No. Well, obviously not. But this is when he, like Sartain's lying on the ground and he's like, say something to me. Just say something. Say anything. And you think Michael's going to say something? And then he just stomps on his head and crushes his head. Yeah. I was like, oh. I kind of half closed my eyes because I was like, do I want to see this? Because I don't like brains. Brains are just ew for me.
Oh, for whatever reason, I can do that. I don't know. Maybe I watch too much of The Boys and I've seen heads explode and stuff like that. And I'm just...
Oh, I love The Boys.
Maybe I'm just desensitized. Me too. But yeah, it's funny because part of me is like, he's not going to say anything. But part of me is like, but maybe he will.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, maybe he's finally gonna say something. But at this point, Ray, Laurie, and Karen are at Laurie's house. Because Laurie had called Alison and left a message. Her phone had been destroyed by her boyfriend, who's a total jackass. So she didn't get any of the messages, but the cops were like, we've got to take you to your grandmother's. I'm just trying to fill in any blanks that I left. And so, Laurie and Karen are in the house, and Ray goes outside to offer the police officers some coffee. Because he's like, hey, do you guys want coffee? And he gets over and finds that they're both dead. And I think they cut off... I couldn't tell if one of the heads had been cut off, because it kind of looked like it was. Yeah. But it had no eyeballs. I couldn't tell, because his eyes were white. Maybe it was just Netflix being weird. I don't know, because I was like, that looks weird. And then Michael actually ends up choking Ray to death. And we actually find him stuffed in a cupboard later on. So
yeah, poor Ray. He just wanted to
I was like, I love Dad. He just wants to get the cops some... He's the coolest dad. And so at this point, Laurie, I think, figures out something's going on and puts Karen down into a bunker that she's created. And it's really cool. It's like the coolest apocalypse bunker ever. That's what I'd want if a killer was coming for me. And then she basically is Laurie's in the house because she is so determined to kill him. So determined to basically end her trauma that is attached to him. And she's like, I reckon she's probably thinking, if I kill him, then I'm not going to feel like this. Yeah. Like, he can't come for me anymore. Yeah. And so they're basically, like, stalking each other around the house. And she's in a room full of mannequins, which I found really creepy.
Yeah, I'm guessing they must be, like, the extra mannequins for, like, her little shooting range that she had outside. I love that little montage at the beginning, though, of her, like, just, like...
getting ready for the day.
Just, like, you know, shooting all the little targets and stuff up, because, like, that was so badass. And I was like, she means business. Like, she's not messing around. She's ready for him, like... so, yeah, the mannequins, they freak me out.
Yeah. Ugh. And that's when, we find Ray stuffed in the top of the cupboard, which he was kind of like compacted and like a bunch of towels getting put in the linen closet.
Yeah, it reminds me of the girl in the original one, or one of the girls, and she was stuffed in a cupboard as well. And she I was also wondering, like, wow, she's really like tightly packed, like in there, like did he like chop her up first? Like, I couldn't see the rest of her. And I was like, how did she fit?
Yeah. So, this is like the whole, is he a supernatural person? Yeah. Does he have supernatural powers? I don't know. And so...
an unstoppable force.
Yeah, basically, right? It's really scary. And, so they're fighting. Because Michael launches out from behind one of the mannequins. He's in the dark. And this is the scene that made me really think about why Laurie calls him the boogeyman. Because she's hearing and seeing all these things in this room. And she's like, I know he's in here. Yeah. But where? Because I can't get him? Like, why
just
can't I
comes out
find
of
him
nowhere.
here?
I think he was definitely also more terrifying in this one because apart from the beginning of the film where he arrives like on the Halloween night during trick or treat, and we do, I think I could be wrong, it might be the only time they do that tracking shot of him going through the houses and stuff like that. But after that, everything else is just like, is he there? Is he already here? Like, is he in that room with Laurie?
Yeah,
and
they totally switch it up.
Yeah, so
you're kind of like,
I think it left me a bit more on edge because I was like, okay, I really don't know where he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can someone put like a beeper on him? A tracker, please?
Yeah, the tracking device.
Yeah, and I really like this scene because, you know, they're like fighting and she ends up falling over the balcony, which is like another...
Like a parallel.
Yeah, there's so many nods and to the original.
Yeah.
But they've kind of completely changed it, like the scenario around it.
Yeah,
It's really cool. And I love when he goes to look over the balcony and Laurie's not there.
Just like in the original as well.
Yeah, because he just would have been like, oh shit. Oh
like,
shit.
The heck? He's like, where'd she go?
Shouldn't you be dead? And Alison arrives at the house and she's, you know, calling out to her grandmother, which makes Michael go, oh, someone else is here. Like, I gotta go down. And, you know, I just held my breath. Because I was like, does Michael run? Like, I don't remember him ever running.
I think it's weird, right? Him walking slowly like that, I'm okay with. But if I ever saw him run, that would absolutely terrify me. Like, I would not be able to deal with it.
Because he can just be in another place so quickly. And so I was like, does he run? But I don't ever see him run.
Yeah.
And I kind of got really like, because you're like trying to, Alison, you know, you're like, get in the bunker and, you know, Michael's upstairs and he can almost get you so quickly. Yeah. And so there's the scene where Alison actually ends up in the bunker and Karen is like, well, welcome to my life.
Yeah.
This is my childhood.
And you see that row of all the different guns and stuff.
With her, like, initials with some flowers on it. And I was like, oh. I know it's so sad, the situation for her mother getting her a gun and teaching her how to shoot a gun. Yeah. But it's kind of nice that it was there to help protect her daughter.
Yeah.
Because this scene is so smart.
Oh, I think I know what you're about to talk about.
When, yes, he does find them in the safe room, in their little bunker, and this bit I was just like, just hurry up and get it over and done with, like, we know he's gonna get in there. Yeah. And he's like pulling the bench and then he's not there, or maybe he hears Laurie, I'm not too sure, but he leaves
just for a moment though, doesn't he?
And then she pretends that she's in trouble.
Oh, that was really good. She's like, I don't think I could do this, Mom. And it was, I was like, oh,
I loved it.
I was like, she's about to break. Like, this is
it.
Because like this whole time you haven't seen the mum or haven't seen Karen do like anything. And I'm thinking, okay, this is fair because this would have really terrified her. And her mum's been training her up for this thing that she thought was just never going to happen. And I was like, oh no. I was like, this is it. And then obviously,
this is your time to shine, lady, and you're gonna break. And I just love that he shows up, and she was just like, "Gotcha." I was like, "Yes!"
That was so good. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's so good." It was like, "Go you!"
Yeah, she was amazing, and I think that that's just really cool that all of these women that have come from Laurie are all these really strong, intelligent women that just absolutely kick so much butt, and it's just so cool to see, and I'm really glad that they did that with all of them in their own ways.
Yeah, it's just like, now that you mention it, like that, like the film just packs so much girl power without it being corny or like really like in your face. Like it all just works really, really well, and I really admire that because there have been some recent films that have you know, banded together like, you know, A-list actresses and tried to do the same kind of like attempt at a big girl power thing, and this one like I guess like I was just really impressed with, like, how well it just kind of gelled. And, like,
Yeah.
and they're all different, they all have different strengths. Like, they're not too, it's not just, like, yeah, girl power A, like, times
Yeah.
3. It's like A, B, C, and they've got all their different reasons for why they're strong and why they're able to kick butt in different ways as well. And I think that's really, really cool thing.
It was really well written, and they're kind of... I find that when some horror movies try to do that girl power trope, they... it's not cohesive. The characters aren't cohesive. They kind of clash and don't make sense and doesn't work together at all. And you're kind of like, why did you do that?
Yeah, no, like, I might get my Marvel fan card title taken away from me in a second, but they did that in the final, like, the latest Avengers movie, where they brought all the women together in one boat.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I liked it, but at the same time I was like, oh, this is really, like, corny. I was like,
this is so awkward.
Like, at the time I was like, woo, and I watched it back and I'm like, oh, I was just like, okay, that's really, really in your face. I don't appreciate it. Like, I would say that I loved the girl power in Halloween a lot more.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I am a huge, like, Marvel and DC and, you know, superhero fan. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, you're only doing this so you can tick the gender box. Go away.
It was so, like, even now I'm just like, they do have some really great, strong female characters, but just the way they did it, like, it was just so poorly executed.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, it was just really refreshing to see that in, you know, one of my very first horror movies that I had seen too. Like, and I mean that in a respect where there's a bunch of women together in the same film who are all working towards the same thing. Like, it felt more natural, I think is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I
feel like they do that a lot in horror movies that are well written for female characters. Mm-hmm. There are some where you're just like, oh, this is bad. Like Black Christmas. I love the film as a whole, but if you watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just really awkward. And, like, I do believe in more, like, gender representation in films, but it's also like, can you write it well, please? Like,
yeah, it has to be done. It definitely has to be done well.
Or just don't do it. Just don't worry about it if you're not going to be able to write or do a good job of it. Like, just leave it alone. Please, just stop. But I feel like they definitely, they hit it, like, right out of the ballpark with this for me.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. And so so they're all kicking butt together, and I love this part. Where because Karen does shoot Michael, and as he's falling, Laurie, like, comes out of the darkness, and I was just like, oh, I got all the feels right now, and I loved it. And, you know, it was just a really powerful part of the movie, because, you know, she thinks, well, obviously it's not the conclusion because there's 2 other movies, but she thinks it's the end. Yeah. And she's like, I can let this all go now. Yeah. Like, this is my moment to let it all go. But, you know, Michael being Michael, grabs Karen's ankle and... Yep. Allison stabs him with the knife that he's been brandishing for the last however long.
Love that.
It feels like a real team effort for me, this ending. And I love that when because he's in the escape room when this happens. And they get out, and Laurie quickly closes these, like, metal bars that go across the top of the stairs.
Was so good. And
I was just like...
You just realised how decked out the house is.
Yeah, and how long she's been planning this.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. That was so impressive.
Like, she wanted to lure him to her house for the last 40 years. Because I love the scene, actually, halfway through the movie, where someone says to Dr. Sartain and Frank and Laurie are talking. And she says something about how, you know, she's been praying every day for this to happen.
Yeah.
So that she can be the one to kill him.
And then one of them is like, why would you why would you
Yeah.
wish for that? Kind of
Like, pretty dumb thing to pray for.
pretty dumb. Yeah, that's exactly
You're
what
like,
it was.
shut up, Frank. She gonna get him. And so this was so cool because she ends up flicking a gas switch, which leaks all this gas into the bottom of the house. And they set it on fire with him in it. And
he's just looking up the whole time. He's not moving. He's not
Yeah.
flinching. He's just literally standing there, and that's still so terrifying.
yeah, it's just like, can you stop that?
He's
Please?
like, that's not nice. Why did you do this?
Oh, I don't even think he feels that way. That's the most horrifying thing.
The absolute most sarcasm. It's just like, why? Like, why? But it's just, I don't know. It's still terrifying.
It's really,
to see him not
yeah. Because he just doesn't have human... And I think they do call him a psychopath and a sociopath throughout, in the first movie, because Dr. Loomis is, trying to give people more information about his diagnosis throughout, like, it's drip-fed to the audience. Yeah. And so they end up hitchhiking back to... I think they end up at a hospital. And the final scene is... the burning basement, but no Michael.
Yep. And you're like, here we go again.
We're just like, oh great, now I gotta go through this all over again? My niece gets me to sing the theme song so she can dance to it.
Oh
I think
my God, that's
she's
hilarious.
seen the memes, and that's why she asks me. She's like, can you do the theme song again? And I'm like, oh yeah, alright.
Yeah, I guess.
And so there's meant to be a post-credit scene, but Netflix didn't play it.
Oh, I thought I missed it.
No, Netflix doesn't play it.
Why Netflix?
I don't know. But it's just him breathing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I hate scary breathing.
That's something I remember like playing as Michael Myers in Dead by Daylight is when you play as him. That breathing is just so loud.
Oh gosh, no thank you.
And it's good though.
I just couldn't... Oh... But yeah, this film is just so fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad you picked this.
Oh, I'm glad I got to chat about it with you. I've like I said, it's my friend that's got me into, trying Resident Evil and trying Halloween, and I actually now have from him and another friend a big Halloween blanket, and it's got like the
cool.
VHS like original cover on it. And I'm just like, I reckon I'm a lot braver than I think. I could probably try a few other horror movies now.
It took me a long time to really find the type of horror that I love. Like, everybody I know that knows that I like horror know that I will watch any slasher you give me. Mm-hmm. Any slasher film. I'm like, yep, put it on, let's go. But, you kind of find your jam that you like. You're like, this is my groove, I like this.
Yeah.
Totally about it. Like, I really like possession movies.
Oh,
like,
really?
I like,
Given what you told me, I didn't think that was going to be a thing.
The ghost movies, not a huge fan, but a possession movie, like The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Love it. Mm-hmm. Love that movie. I really like movies where they have a lot of storytelling. So... Obviously, with possession movies, there's a lot of, like, religious stuff going on, iconography. Yeah. They usually come from certain types of families. So I'm like, oh, this story is really good. I really like this story. Mm. It's cool. And, like, Constantine, I love that movie. Like, there's no tomorrow. I love, 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 love that movie. Maybe it's just religious horror movies.
Strange. I don't know. I think I just gotta find my jam now.
Yeah. You will. It's like, when I go to my partner's house, he'll be like, what do you want to watch? And that was for like the first year or two. Now he doesn't even ask. He's just like...
Just knows.
Horror movie, let's go. He'll just put it on. He won't even ask me if that's like, do you want to watch this? He's like, if I put it on, she'll be happy.
Yeah.
That and like crime procedural films. Mm-hmm. Like investigation films.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. The Bone Collector. We watched that recently. That's such a good movie. Young Angelina Jolie.
Oh, wow.
Denzel Washington. It's really good.
Oh,
I love
that
Denzel.
Sounds like a good cast.
Yeah, the cast is really good. I highly recommend it if you like action, crime, serial killers, that kind of thing. You don't see people getting killed or anything, so...
Oh, yeah.
That's alright.
I've seen plenty of that, obviously, in the movies I've seen. But I think it just depends on, like, how they are killed.
Yeah,
to
totally
extent.
understandable.
I sometimes, if it's like a quick death, then and it happens before I even think about it. I'm like, oh, okay. But if it's something really slow and really painful, and I can see every little detail of it, forget it. I'm not looking. I'm gonna turn away. I'll put the covers over my head, and I'm gonna go. Tell me when it's finished, and then I'll look at it again.
Yeah, that's totally normal.
It's like there was that little short bit in Halloween where he's starting to go through the houses for the first time, and he grabs that lady near a window, and he hits her head, and before you even know it, like he puts a knife through her throat, and I was like, whoa! I was like, it's already over.
It's done.
I was like, it's done, and I was like, okay. I was like, okay then. Moving on.
That was okay. Yeah, the one thing that I really liked is that Jamie Lee Curtis in an interview has basically said that this version of the movie lived up to the original. So imagine having that as, like, your compliment in your writing as the ultimate final girl in all of history, saying...
Literally just stick that on their promotional poster.
Jamie Lee Curtis said this movie's as good as the original.
Yeah, and that's enough.
Damn. Done. I loved it. Yeah, this movie was really brilliant. I'd definitely watch it again. And I have a tendency only to watch films that I'm, like, are in a comfort zone for me, where I'll be like, oh, I'm going to watch that again. I really liked that. Yeah. So it definitely fits in my horror movie comfort zone.
Yeah, now that we've talked about it more, like, I kind of want to go back and rewatch, like, the originals again.
Yeah.
Like 2 and 3, and I can't remember. Did you say you saw the sequels to any of the old ones at all, or was it just...
No, I haven't watched that. I've only watched the first Halloween, and I've watched Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Okay, yeah.
And
was that 2000 was that early, like, thousands?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty early. I'm gonna have a look. 2007. So yeah, quite a while ago.
I don't want to say it without giving it away, but there was one of the sequels. It was either 2 or 3. It definitely wasn't 2. It was maybe either 3 or 4. It had this really good twist in it, and I was like, oh, I actually really enjoyed this one, rather than me just kind of having a little giggles to it because it was really corny and things like that. I was just like, oh, okay, like, I actually really love what they did with that film. And now that we've been talking about the latest one, I'm like, oh, now I really want to go back and watch them again.
Yeah, you should do it. You should totally do it. Tonight I'm watching Ginger Snaps, which is a werewolf movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm recording a podcast episode tomorrow.
Nice.
With a girl who owns a website called Horrorbound.
Oh,
so they do lots of reviews, news, everything for horror stuff. It's really cool. I'm really excited.
Wicked.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of werewolf films, so it's a good movie though. I think you'd like that because it's like it's a coming of age movie, but she becomes a werewolf.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Sounds like my jam.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. So to wrap up the podcast, I usually ask the guests what the last horror film they watched is. So, did you watch anything besides Halloween lately?
Well, no, just because, like, I feel like it's like now I know the franchise so well. It's my little comfort thing. I mean, I guess if we're talking in the horror genre in general, like Haunted Bly Manor has been my new thing.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't watched, like, horror-wise apart from Halloween. So now I'm kind of testing, like, okay, what do I like? What don't I like?
Yeah.
And as much as creepy dolls and creepy children and...
How's the son in that movie?
Oh, like, the son and the daughter. Like, the daughter
they're both?
is just...
Okay.
They're both brilliantly... Like, the kids who play them are so good. So good. And they're both creepy in their own ways. And
the daughter I just find really just odd. The son, I'm like, you are a creep.
Yeah, no. Have you been watching it? Or?
I'm up to episode 3, and then I cut back to Hill House, because I was like, oh, I've got to finish Hill House, and then I'll finish Bly Manor.
Yeah. So I'm a bit further ahead than you, but yeah, they're both so creepy in their own ways, and now I think I'm just getting a feel for what type of horror I can do. And I know it will probably ramp up past like getting to the end of it now. But I am really enjoying that. But the ones I do have on my list, I do want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes. The whole series is just insane. You have to watch it. And the good thing about Nightmare on Elm Street is that it's not this could happen to me, because everything happens in the characters' dreams.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it so good.
I just love that concept. I think it's just really, really clever. So that will probably be next on my list, I reckon.
Yeah, watch that. And Constantine. Have you seen You have to watch Constantine. It's got Keanu Reeves in it. You have to watch it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, really super young Keanu Reeves.
Alright, done.
Yeah.
Just sold that one to me too. Alright.
It's cool. It's a really cool movie. There you go. Some horror adjacent for you.
There we go.
Constantine.
For next week.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. I don't get a lot of horror newbies, so that's awesome.
Very, very honoured. Thank you so much for
having
me here.
I'm really excited to release this, because people will be like, that's awesome. Like, people getting into horror, you know.
I was like a little nervous because I was like, oh, like I don't want to like say something that doesn't line up with the the horror fans out there. Or,
no.
You know.
There's no such thing. It's not, like I said, it's not a gate-kept community. Well, not the people that listen to my podcast anyway. We don't.
Oh, that's good.
Everyone wants to hear something new.
I feel like I'm in safe hands now. So.
You are, absolutely. And if anyone says anything, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
So, to end the podcast, can you just let us know where we can find you on social media?
Yeah, sure.
And Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So I stream on Twitch. My name on there, or my tag if you want to find me, is Stormie Streams, so Stormie with Stormie. And I stream Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, and through there you should be able to find my Instagram as well, because I do a bit of cosplay. But on the horror side of things, if you want to watch me play Resident Evil, I'm going through each one every Monday, and I'm starting number 5 very shortly, so I hopefully will see you all there.
Excellent. So thank you so much for today. I'm really glad we finally got to get our podcast done.
I'm so glad I got to meet you, like, kind of as well.
I'm a person.
For so long.
I'm just an enigma on social media. That is me.
I've had so much fun. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.